Hi, I'm Hannah, and today we are going to be debunking the common myth that daycare damages the attachment between a child and their parents. Now, this is crazy, right? But in a poll conducted, a staggering 72% of Americans agreed with this statement. Mary Ainsworth, who developed the 4 attachment types, along with John Bowlby, really started the anti-daycare movement. However, more and more families are using daycare as the number of women in the workforce increases. So, should you be worried about sending your kid to daycare? Well, to find out, I thought we would interview my mom, who is a preschool teacher. Let's head to the preschool. Hi, thanks for coming to answer some of my questions. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm happy to be here. My name is Judy Ratcliffe, and I am the owner/director/teacher here at Growing Minds Preschool.
So many parents at your preschool probably hold the common misbelief that daycare or preschool damages the attachment between a parent and a child. Is that fair to say?
I do think a lot of parents hold that belief, particularly when they bring their children in the morning to drop them off at preschool. If they see that their child is visibly upset and is having trouble with separation, I do think that they feel that way.
Parents are worried that if they send their kid to a daycare or preschool, that their child will imprint on the caregivers or teachers, much like how ducks imprint on their mothers. Have you experienced this, and what are your thoughts?
Absolutely not. My thoughts on this are that the parents are certainly the most important people in children's lives, and we can have a special relationship with them here at school, but it certainly does not replace that relationship that a child has with his or her parents.
Now, I think it's important to note that although a child won't imprint on their daycare provider, they do play a large role in the child's life. Almost all developmentalists agree that an attachment to at least one or several caregivers is necessary to healthy development. That could include parents, relatives, or daycare providers. All right, back to the interview. Childcare has become more prevalent since more women are entering the workforce. Many believe that a child will become less attached if their mothers or both parents are working. Have you noticed this in any of your preschoolers?
Not really. I am in a little bit of a unique situation in that the children only come to me for 3 hours out of the day. They're not here for full day childcare. But in situations where there are working parents and there's a nanny or au pair involved for the rest of the day, I think as long as the parents make that special effort to connect and spend as much time as they can with the children, that they're still going to be the most important in their children's lives.
So preschools like this one and daycares actually provide a host of benefits, including socialization. Have you noticed a difference in social behaviors between kids with a secure versus an insecure attachment?
Absolutely, and this can be evidenced just when the parents bring the kids in the morning. Some kids will come in and they'll hang their little backpack up and do their arrival activity, and they'll race into the playroom to start playing with their peers without even looking back. And then I have kids on the other end of the spectrum where they're clinging onto mom or dad's leg and they don't want to let go, and they'll cry and maybe sometimes even throw a little bit of a tantrum. And they're definitely a lot slower to warm up to the other kids and other adults in the school.
So I assume most students' social behaviors improve after being in school for a while. And attachment style does have the ability to change. So do you think sending an insecure kid to daycare can help them to adjust and potentially strengthen the parent-child attachment?
Absolutely. I think that one really important thing that a child can learn by being separated and then brought back together is just that the parents, are bringing you to this place. It's a safe place, and the children need over time to learn that. And more importantly, they learn that their parents always come back to get them. And once that's established, it will make it a lot easier for the child to adjust. They know that they're safe, they know their parents are coming back, and they have this opportunity to interact with peers and other adults.
Okay, in all your years of teaching, what's the craziest parent-child interaction you've encountered?
Well, the craziest, this actually just happened this previous school year. I have a 2.5-year-old class, so the children are quite young. But I have had a mom who actually was a child psychologist of all things. And she had so much anxiety about leaving her child and just decided ahead of time that the child was not gonna allow her to leave, that she stayed for the entirety of the 2.5-hour preschool class. Probably for about 3 months, and I did allow her to do this. I know she had been to other preschools where this was just simply not permitted for obvious reasons, because, for obvious reasons. But we did let her come, and she did slowly back herself away, and the child had far less of a problem with it than the mom, and that was what was interesting to us.
Ultimately, I think the parents need to adjust to sending their kids to preschool just as much as the kids do. So I think it's safe to say by now that daycare or preschool won't damage the attachment between children and their parents. But based on that story, do you think that parenting style and parent anxieties and the belief in this common myth is what could actually be damaging the attachment?
Absolutely, and that was, that example that I just gave was the perfect example of that. Before I start the school year, I have a back to school night where I help parents prepare for what to do when they bring their child into school for the first time, especially for kids and parents that have never, been separated before. Oftentimes this is the first time that the parent and the child are separating from each other. The majority of my parents will listen to, take our advice, and they'll come in and they'll be very happy and reassuring to the kids that everything's going to be okay. So the majority of the kids come in, and their parents help set them up for success by coming in with a positive attitude and being reassuring and so forth. But, occasionally we get some parents that just have a lot of anxiety of their own, or a lot of, fears like we've discussed through this interview, and that certainly translates to the child, and it makes it a little bit more difficult for us to do our job. So ultimately, yes, parents' behaviors can certainly affect the attachment.
Thank you so much for letting me interview you. I think your answers gave a lot of insight into this topic, and we're glad to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, there you have it. Daycare doesn't damage the attachment between a child and their parent. In fact, there could be a host of other explanations for a child's insecure attachment, but daycare is not one of them. It just differs from family to family. So, if you're struggling to decide whether or not to send your child to daycare, you don't have to feel guilty about it. You have nothing to worry about. Till next time.